All right, you guys, my name is Nigel Schroeter, aka the Credit Sensei, aka Mr. Don't Sleep on the Money. And today we're bringing you Intro to Credit. Now, Intro to Credit is going to be your introduction to credit, what credit is, how do you build your credit, um, everything that you need to know about credit scoring, credit monitoring, all of those things. We're going to give you the basics. We're going to be going more in depth on a lot of these topics, but please sit by and stay tuned for everything in this video. If there's anything you want me to go more in depth on, please let me know and I will fast track on getting those videos out to you all. And thank you all for the support. So let's go ahead and look at this today. What is credit is probably the question that you're asking if you're watching this video. What is credit? So credit is the ability to pay over time. Credit allows you to borrow money from a financial institution, which is going to be your bank or your credit union, your lender, whoever, and repay them over time. So that's all credit is. Credit is just your ability to borrow money. That's all it is. You have good credit, you're going to be able to borrow money. You have bad credit, more than likely you're not going to, or it's going to be under terms that you're not going to want to adhere to. So this is why it's important to keep your credit good. Types of credit. What types of credit are there out there? You have revolving credit as well as installment credit out there. So revolving credit is going to be credit cards, lines of credit, such as a personal line of credit or a home equity line of credit. There's plenty of other products out there that fall under lines of credit, but these are just some typical things that'll make you kind of get to thinking. So basically, revolving credit, when you pay it, the money becomes available to you again. Whereas when you're talking installment credit, which is going to be loans like home loans, auto loans, student loans, personal loans, or any other types of loans out there on the market, whenever you pay a loan or an installment credit, you're paying a certain amount monthly over a certain set fixed period of time. And once you complete and finish paying that off, you're not going to have access to that money anymore. It's going to be gone. So now, what other types of credit are there? There's two main types of credit that you're going to hear talked about when you start getting into credit: secured credit and unsecured credit. So basically, secured credit is going to be more for those of you who are rebuilding your credit or just now starting off your credit, and the bank doesn't know how much they should trust you. So what they'll say is, how much do you trust yourself? And basically, they will have you put up an item or put up a certain amount of money as collateral in order for them to extend you a line of credit. So you put up $200, they give you a line of credit for $200. You show them that you can maintain that, and then they're going to reflect that on your credit score and potentially raise your limit in the future. Whereas unsecured credit is going to be for those who are more established in their credit or have some credit already, and they're able to go to a bank and get credit without putting anything up in order to get that credit. Now, you also have two more types of credit to think about, which is going to be your personal credit versus your business credit. Personal credit is going to be any credit that's extended to you by your financial institution for you as an individual. Business credit is going to be extended to your business or to your entity. They may ask you with business credit to co-sign for your business. That is going to be called a personal guarantee. If you want more information on that, there will be a video coming out with more information on what is personal guarantee and how can you co-sign for your business and should you. So let's continue. Now, things that you need to know about credit. The pros of credit. You're able to leverage your credit. You can buy things on credit that you can in turn flip or turn into residual cash flowing assets, and create wealth. You can have access to certain things that are necessities that you may not have had access to before, such as being able to rent an apartment or buy a home or finance a vehicle. All these different things you're going to have access to, whereas without credit, you may not have had access to these same things. Credit can be used as your safety net. So, in the case that you lose your job and other things go on, you do have that opportunity where you can use your credit to help you in the time being until you get back on your feet, make those minimum payments, and allow yourself to get back to where you need to be. So, in that case, to me, credit can provide you security because it gives you that little sense of comfort that I do have something there in case of the absolute worst. And I don't have my job. I don't have my savings anymore. Now, what do I do? Now, I still have this last tertiary line of defense. And one more thing that I personally think is I think that credit gives you motivation because when you see the things and the opportunities that open up to you from your credit, it makes you realize that your credit opens doors for you that you could just as well open for yourself. So just remember that when you're thinking about your credit. Now, cons. There are cons to having credit, and usually these cons only apply if you're misusing your credit. So overextending yourself. So, you go out and buy a bunch of things on credit that you can't afford. And then what is that going to cause? It's going to cause overwhelming debt. That overwhelming debt is going to, and then turn cause stress or depression, potential mood swings and other things. And another thing that credit can do is cause a false sense of achievement. So since you have this false sense of achievement, you go and you overextend yourself. You keep borrowing, and then you run into a situation where you can't pay that debt back. Now, more things that you want to know. Your credit scoring. About credit scoring, let's talk about credit scoring. Credit scoring typically is going to be done using one of the two scoring systems. More than likely, they're going to be using one of the FICO scoring models. But there are two scoring models on the market that are mainly used in the personal realm, and that's going to be your FICO score as well as your Vantage score. Your scoring factors are going to be your payment histories, how well you pay, your utilization, how much of your credit you use, your derogatory marks, which are your collections, your charge-offs, any negative accounts that are going to be on your credit, your credit age, which is going to be how much history do you have with credit, how old is your credit mix, which is how many credit products you have, as well as what types you have. Do you have a lot of revolving credit? Do you have a lot of installment credit? Do you have a balance? How does that work out? And how does that look on your report? As well as your credit inquiries, which is how much you apply for credit. Now, going along with this are your three major credit bureaus, which are going to be the three places that house all this information for you and send it off to the banks, the financial institutions as well, to be scored. And that's going to be your major credit bureaus, which will be Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, as far as Credit Karma, let's talk about credit monitoring. Okay. Credit Karma, just like many other credit monitoring sites that are free, they give you your credit score, but they're best for credit monitoring. They're going to give you the information on your credit report, and that's going to help you to have a good idea of what's on your report and is it positive, is it negative. But Credit Karma is not going to give you your quote unquote bank score because most banks don't use Vantage, and that's the score that Credit Karma uses. So if you see your Credit Karma score go up or drop, it's not to freak you out because it is using a different scoring model. However, if you want something that's going to be a little bit more stable and closer to your quote unquote bank score, use Experian or use the credit monitoring issued by either your bank, with exclusions of banks that use the Vantage scoring, or check your credit card issuer or credit card company statements because they may have your FICO score through them. The last thing that I think you guys need to know when it comes to credit monitoring is that you can dispute anything on your credit report, positive, negative, as well as any information on your credit report. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about your credit and looking into your credit score, that you can dispute anything on there. You can challenge that information at any given time. And lastly, let's talk about some credit myths, some things that you may not have known were not true when you were told about getting credit cards. One of them is that utilization is necessary. You do have to use credit cards every so often to keep them open, depending on the issuer. That may be once a month, that may be once every 3 months, that may be once every 12 months. However, it does not mean that you have to have a balance in order to have a good score. So you can use that card and pay it right back just to keep that card open, but you don't have to keep a balance. This is a misconception that even I had for a very long time, that I want you guys to understand. Not carrying a balance is not going to gravely affect your score. The next thing, a lot of people will tell you that you don't have to pay back your credit. Oh, you get a medical bill. Oh, you don't have to pay that. You get a credit card bill. Oh, you don't have to pay that. Oh, worst comes to worst, you file bankruptcy. Well, certain things cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. Certain things like student loans are going to follow you for forever, as well as bankruptcy is a 7-year process. It does go through public records. It is going to go through the court system. It can be costly and cause you a lot of drama and a lot of trauma. So, in my opinion, it's not worth it unless absolutely necessary. So, yes, you do have to pay back the things that you borrow. The next thing, credit is unlimited. You're going to have a lot of people tell you, oh, you can get $1,000,000 in credit. You can get $1,000,000,000 in credit, this and that. And you have to remember that your credit is going to be based off of you, your debt to income ratio, and your finances. So never feel as though your credit is unlimited and you can just keep spending, 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 because there is a point where you will get shut off. And you have to remember it's based off of you as an individual. The next thing, race affects your credit score. When I read off those 6 credit factors, I did not read off race. I want you guys to realize that your race, your political standings, none of those things are going to affect your credit score. So throw them out the window. When people tell you, oh, you have to be this race or that race to have a good credit score, that is fictitious. So just throw it right on out. And the last thing is that you can't build or rebuild credit on your own. This is false. If you do the research, if you learn about the credit system, continue watching my videos, check out my other channel, Nigel Schroeter, where I have a lot of these videos already released, teaching you guys about the credit factors, the FICO scoring model, as well as ways to build your credit. And you spend a little bit of time, watch a couple of these videos. Got some 5-minute videos, some 10-minute videos. Spend 30 minutes, an hour a day watching these videos and learn how to do these things yourself so that you don't have to pay someone else countless amounts of money and be dependent on someone else to do it for you. And with that being said, as always, thank you all for tuning in. Once again, my name is Nigel Schroeter, also known as the Credit Sensei and Mr. Don't Sleep on the Money. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching.